Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome back to the Glassman's World. I'm Dan the Glassman, and we are on our way up to the far northeast heights here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're going to be heading towards Eubank and Paseo del Norte. Well, actually, like way up there higher, actually by tramway and Paseo del Norte. So, taking a look around. Just past Bell and Trumbull. Well, Trumbull then Bell. Bell still looks clear. We're here at Zouri and Louisiana now. And we're going to go up Central. We could go up Zouri. Zouri is another really bad area, but let's go up Central because that's where most people who've been coming out to our city. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Albuquerque is getting put on the map as the worst cities in America right now. And a lot of YouTubers, a lot of content creators are coming out here right now. And they're riding their like e-bikes, their electric bikes, their Zurons, their going around town, driving around like I'm doing right here, with a camera on and taking a look, but they're highlighting some of the worst places, and that's what I'm trying to do too. I'm trying to show you guys like the areas here. Usually this bus stop here on the left is crawling. We're gonna turn right here just past Cochiti. Cochiti is one of the worst streets. We're gonna head up to Central and Wyoming right here, where this is actually one of the worst spots to be. Oh, cool. Caught the light. So, and this is usually an area that's crawling with people here by the bus stop. It's early though. I understand that. It's only 8 a.m. And so there may not be anyone even up and awake right now at this time, It could be something like that. So we'll see. But there's people out and about already. But we're gonna go up here to basically all the way to Tramway, and we're gonna be up here close to Wyoming here soon. Maybe we will go on a little journey up Zuni here in a sec. That's the God, that's that In-N-Out Mart there. Here comes Rhode Island. And then Texas here, a lot of stuff going on here as well. A lot of people on the sides. There's also a place here called God's Warehouse, where they feed, they clothe a lot of the individuals and stuff like that, which is really, really cool. We're about to get up here to Wyoming and Central, and I'm gonna make a turn here. This is the worst street, I believe, in Albuquerque. This is where we filmed Urban Justice. Right here on the corner used to be MG's bar to the left here, and there's a scene where I'm crossing the street as Steven Seagal's beating up some dudes. It's actually Jesus Payan Jr. in that scene, but this is usually the worst street right here, and it's really dirty. MG's bar is gone now. They shut that place down. This is the cleanest I've actually ever seen this place. This ain't too bad, but like I said, it's early, and right now there's a lot of people that are just they're probably just sleeping still. They probably don't wake up for a while. And it's a cloudy day. Got cloud coverage everywhere. I don't know if I'm going to be working in the rain or not today. But and here's Chico. We're at Chico in Wisconsin right now. Chico's usually got a lot of people out walking around, but it's only 8 a.m. right now, guys. It's really early. One thing I'd like to point out is how, as you can see, there's only a one way to turn. I can't turn left. What they've done is they've tried to litigate the movement of traffic. They've tried to, I guess, to make this to where you can't really like cruise through. Look, this guy's gonna turn left anyway, so screw that. So that way, you know, I guess so people won't be cruising through neighborhoods doing their illicit deals and things like that. I'm not really too sure what it did, except, you know, causes us to go around roundabouts and have more traffic and more issues to have to deal with and things, you know. So right on. You let me through. I was squeezing in there. So we're gonna go up Central Avenue again. We're right here at the McDonald's, where there's usually a lot of issues here at the McDonald's at Wyoming and Central, but like I said, it's early. But we're gonna drive up here to the far northeast heights and see just how far this situation expands. See if there's people out and about. By the time I get up there, maybe more people will be waking and moving around. I just want to point out that, you know, when people are coming out here, the content creators, they're really focusing on the war zone right here, Central Avenue, Route 66, from Wyoming, from the McDonald's down to like San Pedro. Maybe they go to San Mateo, but usually it's just in that corridor, you know, and they don't really know all the different things, all the different side roads like Trumbull and Bell and like even going to Trumbull Park up the way. If you go more to the east on either Trumbull or Bell right there, you'll get up into a even more crazier neighborhood, and there's some parks in there, and that's one of the places that, like, you don't ever see them cruising into, the content creators. You know, a lot of them are really scared because they don't really know the situation. You know, they hear these things on the news, they hear that there's this many homicides and this and that and all these things going on, and then they come out here and they see there's a lot of people out on the streets, right? And there's a lot of camps, encampments, tents, things like that that are set up. So yeah, it looks really bad, but then, you know, they never focus on the housing situation and the economic situation, and how there are people who were, you know, had been well-to-do for years and been able to easily keep their homes. And just recently, with the change of the times after the whole, all these poly-pandemics that are coming through and everything, you know, then they've created a housing crisis, you know. And this isn't just here in Albuquerque, this is all over the place, where people are working 2-3 jobs and still can't make ends meet, or they can barely make ends meet, you know. And it's a really harsh way of living. And so, you know, of course, when the content creators come out here, they're going to focus on all the stats, right? The homicides and how many people are out on the streets and what it looks like, and look at this big old encampment and look at this big old encampment. But what they're failing to see is that the big old encampments, that's a safety thing for them, guys. When they huddle up in groups, then they're not easily singled out by the authorities, number one, by other individuals who are out there on the streets, you know, who are causing these homicides and other issues and problems, crimes and stuff like that here. So when you see these large encampments, no one ever points out the fact that they're setting up in numbers for safety, right? They do a lot of focusing on just the war zone and just Central Avenue. But what I want people to understand is that this expands all the way up to the heights here. And there's people in the heights who got a lot of ego and pride. They like to think that they are, you know, hoity-toity, better than the rest, you know. And so they're the ones who really like to, you know, look the other way, turn the cheek, and ignore the problems and situations that are going on. But I just want to point out the fact that these situations go on everywhere. You know what I should have done? Because we're going to go up tramway, and then you're not going to be able to see anything on tramway. We're going to turn around up here. We're going to go up a little ways. We're going to turn around, and then we're going to go, I don't know if we should go up Wantabo or if we should go up Eubank. I'm really not sure. But we're now up here close to what's called the Four Hills, right? Which is a really, you know, higher class. They got more money so they can afford to live in bigger homes, right? Even though, like, you know, these homes aren't really that much bigger than all the other homes, you know. But people feel like they need that much space, and they need to show their class, right? They got to show their status quo by owning larger things, more items, this and that, whether they utilize it all or not. You know, like there's people who, the single people who then they end up living on their own with like 20 rooms or whatever, right? I'm gonna turn right here. This is the village of Sandia, and I know this is what those who are on the streets, this would be considered affordable housing. So this is what we get to look forward to when they convert the Expo New Mexico, our state fairgrounds, into affordable housing. What they've done is they basically have converted these old hotels, motels, Holiday Inns, say what? They've converted them all to affordable housing. What I heard is you get in for like $400, $450, right? Tiny little studio. I don't even think you get a one bedroom. It's like studio, because these are hotels, right? They're hotel rooms converted to studio apartments. You get in for $400, $450, and then you have to pay $800 or $850 a month. So they get you in on a deal, but then they double you up right away. And then it's like, when you get in at $400 or something, that's kind of easy. And then they double up your rent, and then you're locked in somewhere that's a small little place for $800, $850, right? Like we live in the war zone, and we're paying about that for a 2-bedroom, and it's a pretty large apartment, you know, as far as square footage, and it has 2 rooms, which is cool. But it's in the war zone, so we have to deal with being in the war zone and seeing certain situations and living within certain situations, right? But when you're living in a little studio that then's costing $800, I looked at a place yesterday in Knobill, you know, because I like Knobill area. The Knobill is where I used to live. That's where I was at before I went up there to close to Taos, New Mexico, and Tres Piedras. When I moved up to Camp Two Dogs, you know, when I basically decided to go homeless myself, moved away from my really nice home where I had a beautiful backyard garden. My studio was in the garage. I had the whole garage, access to the entire garage for a studio, and was only paying $400. And that was nice. And I decided I wanted to go and become homeless and go live at a camp. Basically an encampment for water protectors, right? Bunch of homeless people living in a camp. That's what we did. Went up there to Tres Piedras, to Camp Two Dogs, to help them build up their what was supposed to become like a tiny home encampment and stuff, and I don't know whatever happened with that. But yeah, I moved up there, and I moved away from all the security and luxuries of having a home to go try to help out a situation, which then turned around and bit me in the butt. Hey, cool, look. It's the Skatorama from what's it called? Stranger Things. That's coming out in October. The final season. So what I was saying was that I moved away from a very luxurious spot and I decided to go homeless myself back in, what was that, 2018, the end of 2017, 2018. Moved to the high desert where it snows in the middle of winter, right at around the turn of the year, right at the New Year's. And you know, I did my thing and was living how I lived. I didn't have too many bills. I got a structure that I was going to lease to own. It was only costing $250 a month. So I went from $400 to $250, which was pretty awesome. The landowner allowed me to be there without having to pay rent for the land, which, you know, that maybe I should have had some contracts and things signed, because I was supposed to be able to stay there forever in the exchange of the work that I was providing and things. And you know, people don't keep their word, and then they make up stories, and I got forced out. We're here at Wantabo and Lomas, guys. Usually there's a lot of people out right here. I don't see anyone walking around. I heard that my friend who's on the streets, the home that I moved away from, went to Camp Two Dogs, that home, beautiful home, he got evicted with his mental health issues. His stepmother evicted him basically after her husband passed. She decided to sell the home, keep the money for herself, right? It's sad. It's like you're a parent, you're the step parent, you're supposed to take care of your obligations. Like that's messed up, you know? For your partner to pass away and then you just like stop doing what your partner was doing, what your husband was doing for his child, and then you just stop taking care of that child because your husband's no longer around. These are the reasons why people become homeless and stuck on the streets, guys. Yeah, there are other reasons. You know, my sister, when she was younger, decided to run away from home and go try to live the thug life, go be a little gangster on the streets, and have a nice little junkie habit, right? And finally, after like 18 years and having to go to NA and stuff, finally became clean. It takes a long time for people to like it's interesting. People get tired of having to pay bills and stuff, so then they go homeless, right? And then they realize that, man, it wasn't really that bad, and I'm really tired of being on the streets, and I'm tired of this lifestyle. I'm tired of turning tricks. I'm tired of stealing and figuring out how to make money and things. You know, I don't see anyone up here right now. I'm wondering if we should go up to Eubank. Thinking Eubank might be the road. It's all gonna take me to the same spot no matter what. I'm gonna turn here. We're at Manal. Maybe we'll see the unhoused situation here as well. But God, what was I saying? Yeah, I was talking about my friend's situation and how I thought maybe I'd see him up here by the ditch. Someone told me that they saw him. He might be staying in the ditch over here off of Indian School. So if he is, hopefully I can run into him, give him a little cash. I know he likes his coffee in the mornings. But yeah, it's situations like that where some people have a mental health issue and their families give up on them. Cold turkey. Not even a notice or anything like that. You know? And it's slowly diminished, you know, like there wasn't help because during the whole pandemics and stuff, The caregiver situation was bad. It was horrible. You know, my wife was having to deal with different caregiver after different caregiver, and you know, and then not having caregivers for long times and things like that. And I saw my friend's situation, how it went from, you know, he didn't have a caregiver coming around, so then, you know, his father, and the thing is like he didn't even realize that was his father. That's how mentally unstable or deranged or just lost that he was. He didn't realize that was his father. He thought it was some really cool guy, like his best friend, a nice guy who just had a home and gave him a place to stay. So he has no idea his father passed away. He has no idea his stepmother sold the home out from under him, and that's why he's out on the streets. He has no clue. And that's what's so sad. There are people out on the streets here, guys, that have no clue why they're out there and where's their family. They don't even know who their family is. Could you even imagine being in that kind of situation where you don't even realize the person who comes around to make sure you have food in your fridge, to make sure that he's bringing you some fun so you can spend money on coffee and other things and stuff, that like that was his father. He didn't even realize it. There are people who don't even understand that they're around their family and that their family's like trying to help them, guys. This is the reality of the situation, is that the mental health crisis is rampant. You know, a lot of people talk about how, you know, the mental health issue has to do with the aluminum, and how a lot of us are getting inundated by aluminum from, you know, what they spray in the skies daily, what they put in our crops and our water and things like that, you know. And then also in the jabs, and all of them, not just the COVID ones, but all of them, you know. My baby Winter Moon at 3.5 months passed away from what they said was SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. I've never trusted any of them, and especially after I lost Winter, that really changed my perspective on things. And you know, and then after that, my oldest was diagnosed with as being a diabetic, and then I'm like, okay, well, there's also things like that are associated, you know, that they say could have been because of the different metal toxicities, the metal poisonings that we're getting, the different things coming from all of the herbicides and pesticides, all of the GMO foods, all that stuff, you know. And before my child was diagnosed as a diabetic, I wasn't as healthy as I am now. I didn't look into foods like I do now. Because my child was diagnosed as a diabetic, that's when I learned how to read the labels and figure out things, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of people out on the streets who they may have some metal toxicity, some metal poisoning. Their minds aren't working properly. They got early onset Alzheimer's, right? There's so much going on these days where like kids are getting diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I believe. You know, they're having these issues with their heart and their brains, which never has occurred until now. You know, it's ridiculous in these times and days. And it all began with the whole Industrial Revolution, companies like DuPont and all the different pharmaceutical companies that came around, and then them eradicating good medicines like sativa and indica, cannabis, you know, CBDs, THC, all of that. They eradicated it for close to 100 years. You know, in 1937 was when they made it illegal. You know, it's interesting. We're on Eubank here, and I'm still not seeing any of this situation. Maybe what I need to do is on the way back is film. Because I think that people are still sleeping at this time. It's only 8:20. I should be getting to my job site here about 8:30 or here soon. I did want to take you guys up to the mountains to just get a nice little look up there. I did want to drive up Tramway, but then we weren't going to see anyone walking around or anything like that. Because Tramway is a highway, pretty much, you know. But Eubank, usually I see people up here on Montgomery and Eubank area, which we just passed Montgomery. The bus system runs, if you take the number 5 bus, that bus runs you all the way up Montgomery to Tramway, up to the mountains, and takes you down Montgomery to Carlisle, turns on Carlisle, so then it goes up and down Carlisle, and then takes you down Lomas, and then wraps around the downtown area all the way to the downtown transit depot. So the number 5 bus takes you around all the way up and down, and that's how this situation is expanding out. Is the bus transit system is it's a free system. We are the only city, I believe, in the nation right now that has a free transit system where you don't even need a pass. You don't even have to get a bus pass. I do believe they're going to change that soon to where you have to like show your U.S. passport, state ID, or whatever the new traveler's ID or whatever that they have us doing. That's gonna be happening soon, where you'll have to show ID and then you can get a bus pass. So those who don't have their legal documents, paperwork, which a lot of people who are out on the street, you know, they get kicked out of their homes. They don't have their birth certificates, their socials. They don't have any of their paperwork. They don't want to go back because either they ran away from home or they got kicked out of home. So they ain't going back to try to get the paperwork. Or, you know, maybe people got their homes caught in a fire and everything burnt up, and then they get, you know, end up homeless. Or maybe, I don't know. There's all kinds of different situations, guys, on why people end up on the streets. But a lot of times they don't have their paperwork, which then hinders them from doing more, getting better jobs and things like that. We're going to take a detour. We're going to go up Academy here. You know, I thought that maybe we would see some of the situation expanding up here. I have seen it. I know that there's people that take the transit buses. You know, this is Wantabo and Eubank. We were just on Wantabo going north. This is where Wantabo curves from going north and south, and then it curves to east and west, and it meets right here at Eubank. So if you're taking the Wantabo bus, that comes up here too. So there's a Smith's right there. So they hang out in front of the Smiths and they spange. They ask for spare change. Spanging, asking for spare change, also known as panhandling. Right? We're just begging for, asking for handouts. And so, yeah, they come up here all the way to the far northeast heights. They easily make it because the buses are free and people catch a bus to get out of the heat, and then they go elsewhere. There's another reason why they come up here. The far northeast heights, like I was talking, places like Fort Hills and stuff like that, the more hoity-toity, higher class places, people who live on the streets know that higher class means more money, higher value items. So when they go around as criminals to make their money, they have to steal from one in order to sell to another, right? Because they don't know how to become entrepreneurs. They don't know how to hold on to a certain amount, you know, to put a third back into their business or 2/3 back into their business. They don't know how to do any of that. So these people aren't entrepreneurs on the streets. They don't know how to continue to build up their paradigm. I'm not saying all. There are people who get off the streets. There are people who become life coaches and help others get off the streets, right? There's amazing individuals who have changed their lives around, you know? And I think that's a beautiful thing. And there's other individuals, like I was mentioning the other day, who take water out to the streets and give people them to wash their hair, their faces, their hands, and allowing them to clean up a little bit, you know? And to feel like someone cares, to feel like they have, like they're worthy, they're worthwhile, and that's a reason for being here, you know? But yeah, people make it up here to the far northeast heights. So I just want to point it out that it's not just in the war zone like these content creators are trying to always point out in Albuquerque. Like, this problem expands far. You know, I could take you up here to the heights, right up into the foothills. I know a spot. If you go hiking just off of Central and the freeway right there, going into Tejedas Canyon, there's a big encampment just right there. You have to walk in though, or ride a bike in to get there. And the other thing too is I was talking about these content creators, they're so scared, right? Like they ride past all these people, and yeah, they got their cameras on, so maybe they're riding a little bit dangerous with their cameras extremely obvious, right? Because those who are like down and out, you know, they don't want to have their situation out there and being filmed and stuff. I do my best to not put individuals' faces and stuff, you know, like I just talk about the situation. I just point out, look, there's a camp there, there's a camp there. I ain't trying to zoom in on their business and catch them, you know, burning foilies and doing all that. You know, I ain't trying to get into their business. I know that they got issues. I know that this is a huge issue nationwide. But for some reason, Albuquerque, the Q city, right? Follow the Q of Albuquerque. And what's going on, I didn't even mention this yesterday. What's going on with Trump and the fact that he just made being on the streets illegal. And so now it's up to the states to clean it up, or we're going to like lose funding, federal funding. Isn't that interesting? So President Trump, which I know people don't like him, and I don't have any opinion on whether I like him or don't like him. I just know he's a businessman and he's doing things in a business way. That's all I know. And that's what government is anyways, and the Fed is. It's all just business and money making, money laundering, and that's all it is. But now that they've made it illegal to be out on the streets, I believe that Albuquerque, being the Q city, being that we're like the first ones to have free transit, we're going to start figuring out how to do something for this. They're going to figure out ways on how to house these individuals. They're going to create tiny home villages and all this kind of stuff. Oh, let me show you the mountains, guys. That's a better view right there. The Sandias. You might be able to see the Sandia tram, the actual tramway that goes up from the bottom all the way up to the top. We're getting way up here, guys. And I'm about to let you guys go so you don't see where my work site is. I don't want to give away any of my clients' locations. Ever. There's a beautiful park right just up here. And I've seen homeless come up here to this park. Way up here by the Bear Canyon Arroyo and stuff. We're now at Paseo del Norte, guys. I'm pretty much at my site. But take a look. There's a beautiful Sandia Mountains right there. And my car's in the way. But yeah, I don't know if you can see. Nah, I don't even see a tram going up and down right now. I don't even know if the tram's open. But we're in the far northeast heights, and I know that unhoused situation expands this far, guys. It's way up here. It definitely is. And I just wanted to point that out. You know, it's not just in the war zone. It's not just downtown Albuquerque. It is all over. It's all over our nation. And right now we're really needing to figure out what we can do to fix this crisis, this polypandemic, because it's multiple pandemics, and it has to do a lot with the economy, economics, and that the housing is far exceeding. Like, you should be able to work a minimum wage job full time, not part time, full time, right? You should be able to work a minimum wage job full time and then be able to afford the the least expensive place that there is to live, right? You should then be able to live somewhere like that, you know, to where you can then have a studio over there. You know, you should be able to afford that $850 flat, that studio, right? I think so. That's what affordable housing should be. It should be to where you know, I remember when studios were like $400, $500. Now they're double. Yeah, I know that I'm a lot older than I was back then and when that occurred. But wages haven't been going up as quickly as the housing prices have increased. And rent has gone up tremendously. Like I was going to say earlier, I didn't even mention it, but there's a one-bedroom house. It's a duplex in Knobill where I would love to live, right? And it's, what was it? $1,200. And it's like, are you kidding me, for a one-bedroom? And this is a small little spot. I don't even think you get your own garage. Little kitchen, little tight little kitchen. It's not even like it's an open space with a big old like island in the middle of the kitchen or anything like that. You know, $1,200 for a one bedroom in a nicer, not the nicest. We're talking right off of Central, guys. We're talking a block and a half away from Central, but in Knobill. I stopped right here so that way you guys don't see where my client lives. But it's a beautiful neighborhood. It's up here in the heights, just right here by the mountains and everything. It's really lovely. And also, I get to see this beautiful view of the west side, Albuquerque, and everything down that way. There might be some balloons up right now. If there are any balloons up, they're probably going to be landing here soon because it's almost 9 o'clock. But I just wanted to drive around and give you guys a little look on the situation, but more talk about what's going on and how it's really not in just the war zone, but I do believe they are pushing them into the war zone, you know, and then they're pushing them off Central so that it looks like they're cleaning up. So then in the media, they can say they're cleaning up Central, they're cleaning up the bus stops. But as you saw yesterday, yeah, Central was looking pretty clear and desolate and empty compared to how it normally is. But then you drive down one block south on Cochiti and it's full of people. But then it wasn't full. It's like, I would say half as many people as there were usually. So where are these people going? Understand there's a place called Alligator Alcatraz in Florida, which is an encampment that they're taking people to. And I think they're saying it's like ICE encampment, but I believe that they're utilizing this situation with ICE right now in order to remove a lot of the homeless off the streets. And then what's going to happen to them? It sounds like that Alcatraz is a gulag where they're drinking water out of toilets They have no food really. There's no supplies coming in. And I don't know how they're even surviving in there, guys. We have a gulag here on U.S. soil in Florida, Alligator Alcatraz. Look that up. Look into it. Let me know what you guys think. No one's really commented here at all, except for, oh, what's up? 7 Stacks been here. Good morning. Sorry, I'm just now seeing your comments, or your comment, one comment. It's all right. I go live because I like to go live. I don't like to spend the time uploading, editing, or doing anything like that. It's quicker for me to just press live, do what I do. I give you the information as it comes to my mind and as it happens. So sometimes my thoughts may be jumbled, or I may like go off on different tangents and I forget to come back to them. So that's why the comments helps me to stay on track sometimes. But when you don't comment, then I just go off. But other than that, I got to get to work, guys. It's already almost 9 o'clock. I should have been there. I try to get here by 8. It's a nice cloudy day, though, so I'm not too concerned about the heat, beating the heat today. With that being said, I will do a little bit more of this kind of stuff and show you what's going on. And then, of course, once I start changing Expo New Mexico, and when we get to the state fair and stuff like that, I'll be doing filming with the state fair. And I'll be, of course, going live during Balloon Fiesta with Dawn Patrol. You guys will be able to ride along when I get up there in the balloon with Rick Jones and Polar Dawn. You'll be able to see us doing the whole morning crewing and how it all works. Those of you who are in Albuquerque, if you want to experience crewing, we will be looking for a few crew members who are willing to work hard and put their all into it just for a fun experience. There's no pay involved. You do get breakfast. There may be champagne, and because we always do toast when we land. It's a tradition. I don't drink champagne. I'm not a alcoholic anymore. I drink orange juice. But with that being said, I'll be going live a lot during these events coming up. I won't be covering too much of this whole unhoused crisis, but I just want to kind of bring to light the situation on what's really going on. Appreciate y'all watching. Thanks for tuning in and listening to my spill, my take on this. This is the Glassman's world, so this is my world and what I want to share with you. And in my world, being that I live right there in the war zone and what I see daily, it's not as bad. Hey, what's going on, Pro Cannabis Warrior? I'm doing well, about to get to work. I just wanted to show you guys that, you know, it's not as bad as people like to make it out to be. It's not like you go riding down in the war zone, everyone's going to get jumped and they all have to like ride quickly by. No. Maybe if you're like going and getting close up to them and you're trying to get their faces and stuff when you're filming with the camera, then yeah. But I've ridden with my bicycle, guys, you know, my mountain bike. And I've had my camera on my handlebars, just riding, but I ain't trying to like go close to their encampments and trying to get their faces. Because I know that could get me jumped. I know that then I'm an instigator at that point, you know? So I ain't trying to do that like those guys are. And I'm just trying to show you that, you know, you could walk through there and it would be fine. Someone might ask you for some money or this and that, and yeah, there's going to be some mentally deranged people who might just like start attacking for no reason at all. So of course you got to watch your back, but that happens everywhere, guys. You could be shopping in Walmart and that happens, right? How many times is that occurring these days, right? Or you're just shopping. Walmart's like even more dangerous than walking down Cochiti sometimes, I think. All right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. There's a little drizzle starting, so I'll be working in a little bit of this wetness. You guys have a beautiful day. Love and blessings. Be sure to hit that like. If you want to subscribe, you want to watch some live glass blowing, I got to get my oxygen refilled, and then we'll be back on the torch very soon. And every first Sunday of the month, live glass blowing demos at the Sunday Knob Hill East Market here in Albuquerque. All right, I'll see you guys. You guys have a beautiful day. I'm out.